Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Jessica Carvad. I am a business coach for women, but I actually do the inner work. So if you've been around for a while, you know what I mean. That's why I decided to create a video on the nervous system and how it might be sabotaging your business success, because this is something that I didn't realize myself I was really struggling with, and something that I thought was not a thing. I initially thought when I first started my business was all about strategy. Business was all about showing up, doing consistent work, until I learned there's a lot more to the success that we see in other people. There's a lot more to being able to make a lot of money, to hold that money, to receive a lot of money, to attract the right clients, and even to showing up as your authentic self, right? A lot of times we're told in business, especially if, let's say, you're in the coaching industry, being authentic, being you, being real is really important. But if we don't have a regulated nervous system, that can become very difficult and tricky. If you feel like right now you're doing everything right, you're showing up, you're doing the work, you're following the strategy, you're following the things that people are telling you to do, but you still feel like you are procrastinating, you still feel like you're undercharging, you still feel like you're over delivering, you still feel like there's resentment towards maybe the work that you're doing or the money that you're making, or maybe you are comparing yourself to other people, or maybe you're not attracting aligned clients into your business. This is not a mindset problem. And I'm so passionate to speak about this because for a long time in my business, I thought if I just changed my mindset about a business, if I just changed my mindset about charging more, if I just changed my mindset about my clients, things would shift for me, but they wouldn't. And I would, no matter how much I try to think myself out of these things, nothing was truly shifting. I still found myself at a income cap, right? So I was still making a certain amount of money, and it was always the same amount of money every single month. I would always have the same amount of money on my bank account, which was also very interesting because ultimately I didn't even know how I was spending the money. It was just happening. This is also called a financial thermostat. And when I realized it's actually not a mindset thing, but a nervous system thing, everything changed, because then I looked back at the experiences I had in my life. I looked back at my childhood, at my successes and my failures, the things that didn't go how I wanted them to go, when I wasn't heard, when I wasn't loved, when I wasn't seen by the people in my life. And I realized all of these things have formed certain beliefs about me. They have stayed in my body. Those memories have stayed in my body. It's really important to recognize that your business is an extension of you. When you're seeing the success that you want in your business, it's because you have achieved it. When you're not seeing the success that you want in your business and you're doing all the right strategic things, or you feel like you can't do them because something is stopping you, you gotta also look inwards, and you gotta not shame yourself for it. I think that was the biggest thing for me. I didn't want to shame myself for the things that I've experienced and it made me feel a certain way and why I was showing up in business the way that I was. But I needed to understand deeper what it was that I wasn't seeing. So that's why I wanted to put together this video and talk about the 5 signs that show up quite a lot in business, and those being signs that your nervous system is dysregulated. First sign is that you procrastinate. And most importantly, even on the things that you want to do. So you set yourself a goal, you are actually excited to maybe do a YouTube video, or to finally start posting on TikTok, or to put your offer out there because you're so excited about it, and then you don't do it. What this can mean is that your nervous system links taking action to danger, right? So maybe you've showed up in the past, you've put yourself out there, and you received criticism, or you learned that success comes with pressure. So you procrastinate because you know when you take the action, it doesn't feel safe to do so. You know, this can also look like in childhood, maybe you've only been praised when you were perfect. So a perfect example for that is you getting good grades in school and you getting praised for that, and then not getting a good grade and feeling the disappointment from your parents, feeling, or maybe even they're saying this to you. And so you associate, okay, so when I'm successful, I get praised, I get love, I get, all these things. When I'm not, it's wrong. And so there is not even a space for trial and error here. And so you learn early on, well, if I take action, it needs to be successful. If it's not, people will judge me. I'm not going to be loved. I'm not going to be seen. I'm not going to be successful. When you try to post online, it can feel terrifying, even when deep down you actually want to do it. There are some somatic cues that might help you see if this is something that you're struggling with, which, the more that we can learn to listen to our bodies, the more that we can hear what our body's trying to tell us, the more we can shift our state of being. The first somatic cue is brain fog. A second somatic cue is sudden tiredness. A third one is scrolling and not wanting to feel the very thing or avoiding feeling the very thing that is coming up. And the fourth sign is a tight chest or heavy limbs when you want to take action. The most important thing about procrastination is to realize it's not laziness or that you're unmotivated. Your body is just trying to protect you from something that it has never learned to feel safe, right? So your body right now is not feeling safe to do the very thing, to put yourself out there. And so your body's protecting you, and that's why you're procrastinating. The second sign is that you keep undercharging or overgiving. In other terms, you people please. Maybe you've been conditioned to be the caretaker, to be the peacekeeper, to, be the people pleaser, put other people first. You've learned that when you put other people first, you're loved, you're accepted, you're seen, you're all of those things. And so you've associated, when I put myself last and I put others first, that's the way to go. And there might be fear of course, rejection, because what if you put yourself first? What if you say no? What if you create a boundary? It feels unsafe. Your nervous system can't handle that if for the longest time you've learned the only right way is to do it the other way around. And maybe you ask for more and someone made you feel guilty about that. And this is something that very interestingly happens to me too. I was always the child who was like wanting more, and not in a bad sense. I was super grateful for what I had, but I was always like, I want more experiences. I want, travel more. Like I always was in this mindset of like, it's great the way that it is, but I want more. And I remember my parents would always tell me that that's wrong and I should just be happy for what I have. When I then started my business and I wanted to ask for more money, or I wanted to, put boundaries up, I really had a hard time doing that because I felt guilty if I did that. So some somatic cues could be nausea or anxiety when you're about to talk about your price. Another somatic cue can be that you're avoiding sales conversations, maybe even apologizing for your rates, or feeling like you have to prove your value. Undercharging isn't about value, it's about safety. It's about honoring yourself. It's about honoring your needs, honoring your worth, and recognizing that you are safe in charging what it is that you want to charge. The third sign is that you're attracting misaligned or flaky clients. Maybe you were taught to self-abandon for approval, or you had inconsistent relationships growing up. So you may unconsciously feel safest when there's chaos or where there is a one-sided dynamic. So maybe in the past you had to work very hard for love. So now business feels the same. You're always giving too much, holding too much, and feeling unseen. So what are some somatic cues? You might feel resentment after a session. You might feel drained after client interactions. You might be avoiding boundaries or policies. So maybe you have a contract in place and people are not really following through and you're okay with that. Or you're scared to say no. The most important thing is that you don't get better clients by fixing them. You attract better clients by raising your standard. And so you feel safe holding higher standards as well. The fourth sign is that you're inconsistent with showing up or selling. Maybe growing up being seen meant being judged, or being consistent meant you had to sacrifice or perform. So now showing up can feel like pressure. Maybe you were praised, and this is a pretty big one, I think, for many women, is that you were low maintenance and it was so easy to be around you. You never needed help. And so now you actually might connect visibility with feeling like you're too vulnerable and you're putting yourself out there because this is not how you want people to see you. So some somatic cues could be that you have energy spikes followed by crashes, or feeling on during launches and then collapsing, or avoiding engagement or doing the work when you're not perfect or when you're not feeling good. True consistency doesn't come from discipline. It comes from feeling safe enough to stay. And this is something that I feel like we don't speak enough about, because I do know a lot of people with lots of inconsistency in their business and what they're creating. And I think oftentimes we're forgetting that there's more to that than just, discipline. And the fifth sign is that you're obsessed with what everyone else is doing. So what might have happened is that your environment made you doubt your instincts or constantly strive for approval. So you now may look at authority and believe that they are safe. You're putting them on a pedestal, right? You look at other people who have more success and you think that they're better than you. They know more because this is what you have learned. So maybe you were punished or you were being rejected by being too much or not enough. So now you might scan, you might scroll, you might compare yourself to other people. Those somatic cues could be that you have a tight chest while you're scrolling and looking at what everyone else is doing. You might feel a sudden shift in your plans or in your energy after seeing what someone else is posting. Or you might have this constant need for validation or reassurance. What's really important, if this is what you're struggling with, is that you regulate yourself to step into your power again. It's recognizing that you are enough, that you're powerful, that there's no one else on a pedestal, no one else that knows better than you. You know enough, right? It's building that true leadership, and that starts with you regulating yourself and seeing yourself as an authority too. What's really important, after I just shared these 5 signs with you, is to recognize that you're not broken, that you don't need fixing. It's truly about finding back to yourself and creating that safety from within. And when you recognize that you might have one of these things that you're doing, or there might be some other things that you're doing, it doesn't matter. It's about recognizing that it all starts with you, and regulating your nervous system is not as complicated or as hard or as heavy as a lot of people think. Yes, of course, when we're doing inner work, it will require you to slow down. It will require you to look at things that maybe are not always great to look at. But when you have the right support by your side and you feel safe being around them and them holding space for you, things can shift very easily. But also, most importantly, when you're working on yourself, when you're doing your nervous system regulation work, is to learn to feel safe within yourself just as you are. And so there needs to be a way that you, when you're doing this type of work, when you're regulating yourself, you first feel safe within you, and then you change those patterns in a slow and controlled way. Now, I do have a challenge come up, which I'm very excited about. After the successful masterclass, I want to dive deeper with you. This challenge is also going to be free. It's called the Regulated CEO. And it's going to be a 3-day challenge. There's going to be a giveaway to my embodied business program. But more importantly, this challenge is where we will be going deeper. We will be regulating ourselves. We will be doing powerful work so that we can recognize what our patterns are, how can we break them, and how can we regulate ourselves in those 3 days. It's going to be really powerful. If you want to sign up, there's a link in my description. I would love to see you there. And I also would love to know, which sign are you? Like, do you resonate with one of those signs or maybe multiple? I would love to hear from you. I would love to see how that shows up in your business. Let's start a conversation, because I really want to connect with you guys more in here. It really would mean a lot to me if you could share that. With that being said, I'm sending so much love, and thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.